Good evening, everyone. My name is Gulshan Memoria. I'm the founder and CEO of Inspired Valley. As you all know, that we've started this initiative, Inspired Valley School Initiative, where every week we connect with the best minds in the education world, and to discuss on some of the very prominent topic. Like today's topic is how to foster a love for reading among digital nomads, which is quite a very interesting topic. And to discuss this topic, we have some esteemed panelists with us. The very first speaker we have is Miss Smitha Parambath. She is the principal at NSK International School, which is in Kerala. We also have Dr. Raghuveer. He is working as principal at Podar International School, ICSE, Aurangabad, Maharashtra. We also have Mr. Atul Runthala. He is working as a principal at the Indian Public School, Erode, Tamil Nadu. And lastly, we have Miss Renu Mathur. She is working as the head of the school at BSM School, which is in Delhi. I welcome you all on our show. Okay, let me start the conversation. Let me start the discussion by asking the very first question with Atul sir. Atul sir, with I can say with the attention span becoming shorter in this digital age, and there's no doubt about that, right? Especially with the Gen Z, this generation is facing this kind of issues. So, how can we introduce the Gen Zs to immense immersive learning experience or the immersive reading experience, with the captivating their interest and encourage them to delve deeper into books? So here we are talking about the physical books, so that we can reduce their at least screen time to some extent. Over to you.
Happy evening to all of you, and thank you for inviting me. I think we need to read draft a question because books are never away from the students. Only thing is we have given them the gadgets during the COVID time, and now we want to snatch them back, which they are not going to give us back. First thing, because we are handed over, so it's very hard and challenging for all of us to get those gadgets back. Second thing, I have seen, especially in Tamil Nadu and the southern India, children read. It's not like that they don't. If I see the library periods, just to ensure, because there is what is the reason of assigning a particular library period in a timetable, that kids go in the library and read some titles of their own interest, right? But at the same point of time, we also see that there are 40% kids or 50% or half of them who love to read on a Kindle. That means they love reading through an ebook. That means the passion is still there. Only thing the drive is missing or the vision is missing for the people who are not able to achieve so. And third, then we are forcing them to read something which cannot work out.
Exactly. Wonderful, great insight. Sumita ma'am, would you like to add some points of your school, your own experiences? Like, what kind of experience that you're experiencing in your school, especially with your senior students?
Thank you, Mr. Gulshan, for inviting me, and very great evening to everyone. Actually, this is a challenging phase for all of us educators to inculcate the reading habits in the young minds. So, in this in my school, we have taken a great initiative in this academic session to make the students more adaptable to the traditional way of reading methods, like grab a book and read. Our librarian, along with the teachers, had taken their heart and soul, and we could successfully organize a group of activities perspective of the classes from EY1 to the senior classes. And even the NEP 2020 emphasize the multilingualism. So we have never had a discrimination on the children should read only the English books, being an English medium school, but we also promoted the regional language books as well as the Hindi books into the reading section. So first of all, we have done an activity called a reading challenge. Every student was given an initiative to read one book a week and share their experience in minimum of 1 minute in the library lesson which we have introduced into the curriculum. Secondly, creating a student reader card. That was very interesting. Kids from grade 1 onwards have participated enthusiastically. They, after reading a book of their choice, they had created a card and brought to the school, and that card was really specifying all the characters which they liked the most, their write-ups about that books, their own way of introducing the books to the other people. So these cards, so we had made a collage and displayed it in our school lobby area where our visitors, parents, and other students got an opportunity. And the another one was book inspired crafts. These are something which, after reading a book, children used to make different craft items out of their interest. We never had a forceful discretions for the children when we released a circular. We kept it very open to bring out their imagination after reading a book into the art
Exactly.
integration method of producing
No,
them.
that's pretty
So,
much makes sense as well because it has to come from inside, which
yes,
Atul sir has already mentioned. We cannot force anyone to read, right? There's no point of forcing
absolutely.
anyone. So till that time, it will not come from inside. Nothing will make much sense. Over to you, Renu ma'am. Please, I think that you have raised your hand and you wanted to add your point.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, good evening to everyone. I would like to add some few points in this. Like you are saying, we can't force someone. Of course, we can't force no one. We can't force anyone to read until it comes from inside. The same thing I have taken the few steps in my school, like from the beginner students, for the prep, from junior school. Like, no, we have. I have told them to inbuild a library in your class.
Okay.
So I have suggested, I have give few plans on it that each and every student have to bring their own books, and at the corner of their classroom they have to set up a library. They have the library period separate, but they have their class library too. Like, they are exchanging each other students' book, and they are reading the books. And at the end of the day, like in on Saturday or on Friday, on the last period, they have to discuss, or they have to make a project on it, and they have to in a group, in a peer group, they have to work on it, and that will be displayed on the assembly board. Like, each and every class will saw it, and from turn by turn it came to the each and every class turn come on that assembly board. So we have taken this step after the COVID, because after the COVID we all know all students are very students want everything on their ticklings. Net
Exactly.
suffering turn is so easy for them. So that's why we can't force, but we can use different methods, to inculcate that feeling, that inside way. Like, in as we all know, ma'am, we all are working. Mother and father both were working in our era, so we don't have that much time to sit with our children and make that habit. If you are reading, then your child is also reading. Mostly are working in MNCs, and so what, you don't find that much time for your children. So, but for looking at that
What
few
exactly that
things in
can
the
be done? I
mind,
mean,
I recommend.
instead of the normal solutions, what exactly that can be done so that we can inculcate the reading habits at a very early age? Rightly said.
Yeah, because
Great.
if you have habit at that age, it's very, you can't even in college, even after graduate, even after he's settled down or from his work, still that habit is in himself. He can't stop himself to reading. Like, when we were kids, so we read books at that time. So right now I want 9 to 9:30, I want to read my book. If I will not get the time, I start crying. At this age also, I did the same thing. My children will also do the same thing. If I want my reading time 9 to 9:30, it means 9 to 9:30. I don't want anyone in my room. I want my time. It's my time. It's my space. If you will not give me, I start crying. Well, personally, I think that from
Exactly.
the beginner, my parents built such things in ourselves.
See,
So that's
this
why
is the
that
same
habit.
reason, Miss Reni. This is the same reason that's the reason that why we are discussing because there's a generation gap, right? For you,
Yeah.
reading book is mandatory, and for them, just checking the Instagram reels are mandatory.
That
That's
is
a
what, making the reels. More checking. Sir, my kid is just 11-year-old. He's having Instagram account,
yes.
and he is not watching the reel. He's making the reels. More interested in making the reels. So,
Great, great, great.
so
Let's take our conversation forward. Raghuveer sir, I would like to ask you this question. It's a very interesting one. So we all know that in current school, this Gen Zs and the Alpha generation is there, right? So Gen Zs and the Alpha is known for this digital and tech savvy nature. There's no doubt about that, right? They are more very familiar and often spending their significant time on screens, which is the major roadblock and which is a major issue with all the parents. Like they always come to the school and discuss this thing that how we can reduce their screen time. So, how can we inspire a love of reading in this generation and strike a balance between the digital media consumption and the joy of reading books? Over to you.
Yeah. So basically, what I feel is we need to take some, like the other speakers who are speaking, we need to make a strategic move for this loud reading as a habit. We practice in a school called a deer technique.
Okay.
Drop everything and read.
Yes.
It's called a deer technique. So every day for 20 minutes in the school hours, we have a timing. We give a specific bell for the children of primary and middle school specifically to drop everything and start loud reading in the class, supervised by the teacher. So in a way, it's an awareness created by among the entire classmates for benefiting the loud reading as a method, what they follow on a daily basis. And moreover, not only practicing this loud reading as a good practice for children, we need to really explain and make them understand what kind of benefits you get out of reading as a good habit in comparison with the videos, the YouTube content, or the reels what they watch, and they are under the illusion that they are knowledgeable by looking into these. In fact, there is a critical difference between knowing an information and having a knowledge about it. So children nowadays are confused between knowledge and information. So they know content what is seen in something like 5 minutes, 7 minutes reel, or it can be a YouTube, but they don't know that they are not becoming knowledgeable by just seeing a visual on a content. So there's a fundamental difference between the benefit of reading versus a video to be seen or a gadget to be used for understanding a concept. If self-imagination is not driven, it's not motivating any reader to realize that how long you can imagine about a content. It's not possible to generate anything.
Exactly.
So any creative work, if it has to come out of you, it's absolutely because of a good reading habit and understanding it. Only then your imagination can go further to create something new. For example, if a story of some episode in Ramayana is portrayed in a video, it is conclusion by the creator. So if it is a green saree, or if it is a bow and arrow, or it is a forest being shown in a video, that's the end of it. The reader, rather the visualizer, cannot imagine anything more than what is shown in the video. But if the same content is read in the form of a story, so the reader will have an option to think whether it is a green saree, or it is a red saree, or it is the silver lining, or the forest is with the raining, or the bow and arrow is made out of gold or silver. So the imagination part will not crop up when the student is visualizing a video or a content which is ready-made and given to him or her. Whereas, if it is a text content being read by the same person, he has a scope to imagine, create his own world of thoughts. So, what I feel is fundamentally we need to educate children that reading has more beneficial factors for self-sustenance, or maybe creating your own thought process and getting into an execution, than a ready-made material which is made by somebody to be just watched as a spectator.
Exactly.
So we should have to question the child whether you want to remain only as a spectator or you want to be a creator. So the fundamental difference lies between creating a new content out of your imagination and creativity, or you want to be a mute spectator for what's been shown across to you in the form of a movie or some visual which is there in the video. So we need to start somewhere giving an understanding to the students, like what is the benefit of self-reading and creating a content or your own out of your imagination and creativity, rather than just budging yourself to be expected for a video content or a story content being seen on screen. So that's my opinion. And to inculcate this reading habit, what we have a good habit in the school is drop everything and read, called a DARE technique, being used for exactly 20 minutes with a bell timing for all the children to participate with the supervision of the teachers to look at it.
Exactly. What you said, it completely makes sense, that fundamentally that we need to teach our students, that we need to tell them time to time that there is a love for reading and why reading is important. We need to give them some, can say, some logical views about that. Over to you, Smitha ma'am. You want to add your point? You have raised your hand. Please do
Yeah,
that.
without making them to understand the benefit of reading, they'll not get into the habit of reading. What is the fundamental difference between reading for the self and understanding versus a ready-made material which is available, maybe a static one or the dynamic one, to be seen on screen, has a limited scope to understand, whereas your imagination capacity and creating content of your own does not lie when you see a program which is ready-made versus the reading that you do from a text.
Exactly. Yeah, Smitha ma'am, please. Thank you,
Yes.
Raghuveer sir.
Adding on to Dr. Raghuveer, in our school we had one of the best practice by bringing this imagination as well as the lateral and divergent thinking and initiating that creative domain of the children and to compete for themselves. We had a Sanskriti, our literary event competition. It was an inter-house competition where the students, after reading a book, we have given few hints of the books, but it was not compulsory that they have to read that and come. They can read any book of their choice, and any character of that out of that book they can select, and they have to create their own imagination and come out and present it on the stage and compete for their houses. So this was not a mandatory participation, but through this activity, I think those children who were having a creativity and imagination, but not a voracious reader or not having an interest to read, but they just want to come and perform on the stage and bring out their creativity. They also started picking up the books and reading it and bringing it on the stage. So that
Exactly.
was something very interesting that we have observed in the last month.
That's great. Atul sir, you want to make your point? Anything that you want to add it here?
Hi. See, dear time already we are also doing in our campuses. Drop everything and read, and I think that program itself has a very wonderfully productive benefits because right from grade 1 onwards till grade 12 it works, though the timings may be different, the strategies may be different, but it works for sure for all of us. So that's, I think, all of us can take away from this. And second thing is that there should be some reading session book kind of that we have just tried in our assemblies, and somehow the results are productive. I wouldn't say not so negative or not so positive, but yes, things are promising, and if even next 6 months we will be back on track. A child has to read a particular book which he or she may be reading at home, like for example The Alchemist or someone, and that he has to read a para or a page which he liked about, and the other students have to write a synopsis or a write-up of that story, and then awarding them with something in the session.
No,
or in
I
the
just want to share a different point of view. I'm not sure that whether how many of you that would agree with this point. Suppose many times many times we give a lot of directions to our students. Okay, read this chapter or read this paragraph, and then you have to make this synopsis, then you have to make some sense, and everything, whatever that you are reading, try to integrate in your life. Sometimes we don't have to do that. This is just my point, because when every time when we make some rider into the reader's mind, that person is putting extra efforts. Why don't we just say it's just for the love of for reading and the joy for reading, read anything? And maybe due in this process, maybe that person will inculcate this habit of joy of reading and the love for reading. Anybody would like to add any point on this point of view? Anyone can raise their hand and just give me this point of Your point of view on this point?
Sir,
Anyone?
will you repeat your question once, please?
Okay, I was asking
No, I
you.
agree with there should not be any restrictions or a series of instructions for anybody to read. But once you fundamentally explain what would be the benefit of
Yes.
self-reading and understanding versus a ready-made content which is available through a video or so, if at all you want to become knowledgeable, not knowing information, just knowing information is not becoming any person knowledgeable. So if you really want to dive deep into a subject and understand, it fundamentally requires a reading habit.
Exactly.
It can't go on by something like 10 minutes video to be seen or some content on the screen to see and proclaim that I already know about it. So anybody who wants to create something out of what he has already understood, fundamentally there should be a patience and
Yes.
reading habit to inculcate the values which are there in the content. See, for example,
Exactly.
any producer or a director who makes a movie, he takes 3 years, 4 years time to do his homework properly to bring the content as per his imagination on screen. So when you want to create something independently, if you are to be self-sufficient, reading is a must. So once we inculcate this value of independence, self-sufficiency, it can happen only by self-reading, not by somebody's ready-made content to be read. This content gets into the mind of any youth. Obvious for sure, they will try to make their attempt in making a serious reading and going deeper and deeper to the layers of the content in it. That's what I
Exactly.
strongly feel.
That's completely makes sense. Moreover, when you mentioned that it will inculcate the habit, you can say the value of patience, right? Secondly, for an example, because I've seen in the recent reels on Instagram, on LinkedIn also, okay, 10 things to learn from this book. So all the time, I mean, this current generation is always looking for some shortcuts. Okay, with this book, I just want to know this 10 things. But when you read the book, actually you learn lot many things, just more than this 10 learnings outcome from that book, isn't it? And because everywhere we are just looking for some shortcuts. So what Raghuveer sir has mentioned that it will inculcate the habit of patience also, but fundamentally it has to come from the teacher side. We need to teach them fundamentally in a right manner so that the base will be good, right? Any points, Smitha ma'am, your point of view on this topic, or should we move on to the next one?
Here, actually, the teachers are the torch bearers. I should suggest on that. Like without the teachers' help and support, whatever idea and thoughts a leader is having cannot be implemented. So, of
Exactly.
course, teachers play
Exactly.
a major role. And this is what I mentioned in my first half, that wholehearted support of our librarian. It was not just a library period for the children, but it was an activity oriented session in the library lessons.
Now, I'm
So,
sure, I mean, I'm sure that when we make it mandatory for the students to read, so I'm sure there's some mandatory session with the teachers also. Because till
definitely,
the time if the
definitely.
teachers are not reading, they cannot, it will not come from their heart. I mean, they cannot preach about it, right?
That is the duty or responsibility of the school leader or head of the school
Yes.
to inculcate that drive into the team, and so that they go and cascade it
So
down to the
one, make
students.
more card for the teachers also. I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely.
all right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, let me ask you. Okay, let me ask the question with Renu ma'am. Renu ma'am, social media and instant communication has transformed the way the Gen Zs interacts, right? So how can we leverage this digital platform to create the online book clubs and reading communication that fosters a sense of belongingness and encourage the meaningful discussions around the literature? So the reason for asking this question is that currently in this 21st century, we cannot totally avoid the online space, right? As Smitha ma'am was saying that, okay, now a lot of students are using the Kindle. Even Raghuveer sir also was mentioning this thing. So we cannot just totally avoid this thing. So a lot of people, they do online study. They have their iPads and they read everything on their Kindle or their iPads, right? So it's not something that till the time they will not purchase the physical books, they will not learn many things. So how we can, I mean, so on this question, please, over to you.
Thank you. Uh, Sir is absolutely right that nowadays everyone is reading on book on social medias and on Kindle. There's many lots of online books were there, but we can make it as useful and meaningful. Okay,
Hmm.
like no, it's a idea. It's so many the world, the thoughts we shares. It's very easily to creating online book clubs. Is a
Hmm.
great way to foster a sense of belonging and encourage meaningful discussions around the literature.
Hmm.
To get started, you could use social media platform to create a group chat. This
Hmm.
could allow you to connect with the like mind individuals or who are interested in the same reading, same kind of discussion, same
Hmm.
literature.
Hmm.
Once you have your own group together, you could choose a book to read, and
Hmm.
you can set a schedule to discuss with them. You can set a time period, like in that time period you are reading this one book, you are reading this one book, you all are from the same kind of liking
Hmm.
books.
Hmm.
Now you can
Hmm.
use in that sense also. When it comes to discussing the book, it's important to create an environment where everyone feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and ideas, right?
Hmm.
You could encourage everyone to come up with a few different courage, few different questions before meeting each other, like before starting a new book. When we meet someone with the same mindset, with the same liking disliking, so now so we have different sets of things that I like this. Oh, I'm reading this one books, I'm reading this, like in my eras when I was in college, I like to read Chetan Bhagat's book at the time. And you and I'm reading the time Three Idiots वाला जो movie बना है, that's a two state. So I'm reading Three Mistakes of My Life. I'm reading that book. You won't believe I have my exams on my head, but I'm like so deep. I was like Raghuveer sir said that we have a patience, and I will like to add one thing in this, like emotions.
Hmm.
When we are reading a book with the patience, with the emotions, and with the same feeling, so that is the more interesting, right?
Hmm.
So like the same thing we can happen, we can do this in the online clubbing, like we are making friends online, and we are choosing the same kind of book, we are discussing the ideas, we are putting the questions of each other, like and additional you can consider inviting guest speakers or authors. You could consider inviting their shorts, their insights, and the answer and question session also can be done. For this thing, if you know, if you need to do such kind of activity, then it's a very interactive session for them. This will bring their insight knowledge, their insight part, what they are thinking about that, about reading, about and what they what they are getting from that book. They are
Hmm.
interested or not, or they are just you reading for as a fun. And second thing, overall, creating an online club book is a great way to connect with others who share your interest and encourage meaningful discussion around the literature. I feel कि in today's world we cannot put ourselves away from the gadgets.
So
We
let
can't put
me,
ourselves. We can't.
let me put it this way. For an example, see,
Uh,
if we'll ask our students, okay, that you don't have to use the online gadgets instead of this, just read the physical books. That's fine. I mean, if we are giving this information in the right manner, we can do that. But at the same time, we can also suggest them to start their own online book clubs. Maybe they can start. Sometimes they can start their podcast channels, and whatever
yes,
they are learning, they can share this thing with their audience as well. So in
yes,
that manner, they can utilize their time in an effective manner rather just than scrolling the reels or using the Snapchat or using the Facebook in some other areas or in some other manner. what's the
It's good
point?
for them, like such kind of activities. If they are on they are on a book club online, they can do the brain exercise also. It will help them to relieve the stress also if they are
I'm not sure that how
studying.
many of you have used the Clubhouse. There was an app during the lockdown. So on Clubhouse app, there was different clubs. And in that club, for an example, one club was discussing about the music, especially in the jazz music. So that club, that whosoever was interested, they just joined that club and that Clubhouse app, and all the people were so enthusiastic about the jazz club, and they were just so in a very specific time from 9 to 10, they were only discussing about the jazz club, whatever the thing that are happening, not just in India, across the globe. So maybe we can use the technological platforms at our disposal and we can use it for the betterment of the entire community. Any point from Atul sir, Smitha ma'am on this question? Raghuveer sir, if you want to add your point on this question, or else then we can move on to the next one.
You can move on to the next question, I suppose, because we banked on this content and spoke a little elaboratively, and it makes real sense that anybody who reads will be like an original creator of something new from what he has understood, versus what he sees a ready material which is available and be remaining as an audience. So whomever wants to be remaining only an audience will stick on to the screen time and not create anything on his own or her own. Whereas a reader with detailing and understanding can create something new. So that's the fundamental difference between being a spectator or a creator.
Great. Let me ask this question. So this is an open question for everyone. Anyone can raise their hand and share your responses. So storytelling has been a fundamental part of human culture. And this is not I'm talking about the today's world. This is talking about the earlier from ages. Every time that everything that we have learned about our past is just on the basis of storytelling. Even the current the leaders or the teachers are using this as a method. So how we can harness the power of storytelling through books to create a connections and foster a sense of community among this digital nomads? Anyone, just raise your hand and you can share your response. Still waiting?
Can I?
Sure, sir. Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay. See, like storytelling is an act of uninterrupted flow of thoughts to communicate on a given subject, right? Suppose if somebody is typing some WhatsApp message, whatever his emotions are or the thought process is, they have an option to edit it and then type it again, retype it, delete it, again retype, until they are satisfied with what they want to communicate to the next person. They have the option to edit and then send it across. Whereas storytelling is live, it is not editable option. You are supposed to speak extempore. You need to speak with the continuity of thought process on a given domain of content. Right?
Exactly.
So unless you are well read, unless you know the content properly, you cannot make a story. Storytelling is an act of continuity of thoughts without editing option for you to deliver a content.
Exactly.
So reading is a background basis for you to become perfect on a given content and then deliver it to others in the form of a story. So it's like you give an editable option or a non-editable option. So storytelling becomes a very powerful tool both for the performer and for the listener as to extempore use the continuity of thought process from what he has learned to be delivered, to be performed for an audience to be heard. So like reading is a very important tool, very powerful tool. Storytelling to deliver it to others is much more important.
Exactly.
I can say that the one who reads, grasps and become knowledgeable creates a story for the others to be heard about. Both are supplementing and complementing to each other, so that the entire process of learning becomes stable, becomes concrete for the person to indulge in. So that's what is my thought process on storytelling versus reading.
Great, sir. Great, sir. Even many times I have seen in the schools that a lot of students are facing challenge with communication skills. Even a lot of teachers, the entire school community, they are working towards it. What I believe and what I feel that a lot of students, they don't have the content to speak about. Sometimes, a lot of time it does happen. They are unable to express it. So when you are saying that about the storytelling, so till the time they'll
Yeah.
not read about something, they will not have the matter. If they will not have the matter, how they can give you the matter in the form of storytelling? So I think storytelling reading is actually helping them
Yes,
to
like
improve their
it's
communication
when
skills.
as long as the overhead tank is full.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, no, nothing,
As long
nothing.
as the overhead tank is full with water, the taps can deliver water. If the overhead tank
Exactly.
itself is empty, what you will get in tap?
Exactly.
So you want to get something in the tap, the overhead tank should be full, no? So
Exactly.
to fill the
And we
overhead
can,
tank, you need to read. Only when you read on a content, you can deliver it. So
exactly.
storytelling is like a tap open for the water to flow. Reading is like filling the overhead tank by
That's a
focusing and reading.
that's a
So if
wonderful
anybody is
example.
not with a habit of reading and still want to portray that I will,
No, that's a
yeah,
wonderful
somebody wants to
example,
just
Raghuveer sir.
project that
Huh.
I'll deliver something without filling anything.
Exactly. That's a wonderful example, sir. Moreover, we cannot fill
So like
anybody's
that.
tank, right? We can only suggest them how you can fill the tank. So it is the reader's responsibility. It is
You
the
need
student's responsibility.
you need to on your motor.
Exactly, exactly. Thank
You
you,
need to
thank you.
on your motor for pumping the stuff from the ground floor to the fifth floor or the eighth floor. Only then you with some energy input. Only then you can fill the overhead tank. Else taps won't work.
Great, sir. Great. Over to you, Smitha ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking
Yeah,
that
yeah, most
when
welcome.
sir was saying that reading versus storytelling, right? So we have an initiative in the school for an activity called a reading den.
Mm-hmm.
This is one area where the children means the when they celebrate a birthday, right? It is one of the precious days in everybody's life. So what they do is they bring a book to the school library that
Mm-hmm.
is one of their favorite books. And now I was thinking, like, children of course are uplifting their reading den by contributing one of their books. So
Mm-hmm.
why can't I make my students, those who are celebrating the birthday on those days when they are bringing the books to the library, why can't they share that story on the public address system?
Mm-hmm.
Because every day we are introducing a book to the entire school community. Like, each student will get an opportunity to review a book and get introduced to that book and author and the special contents of that book.
That's a
So
wonderful
now
suggestion.
I will
Mm-hmm.
definitely add upon on the birthdays when the students are coming to donate, means deposit their books in the library. We will definitely make them to say the story about that book on the public address system. This is what I was thinking when
That's
Dr. Raghuveer sir was connecting.
please share your experience once you applied this thing in your school. Would love to,
Definitely,
yeah, would love to
definitely.
have. Fine, fine, fine. Thank you everyone for giving your amazing responses. Now we are the, you can say, into of our webinar, and we have this rapid fire round in every webinar. So today's topic is how to foster a love for reading among digital nomads. So now we have already discussed a lot of ideas during this webinar. Still, I want some two more suggestions from your side. So some out of the box suggestion wherein we can infuse the idea of reading, infuse this habit of reading among this today's generation. And you cannot use the same example which you have used before. So I'm giving you 30 seconds to think about it, and let's discuss and let's get some ideas from your side. So first I'll go to Smitha ma'am, then Miss Renu, and lastly Dr. Raghuveer.
Uh,
Yeah, you were saying something,
Sure,
Dr.
sure,
Raghuveer,
sure. Okay.
please.
No, I was trying to answer you.
Please, please, please
You have
answer
given a
it.
chance to other people.
Please.
Please let them talk, and the end I'll
Great, great, great. So once you are ready, Smitha ma'am, you
see.
can.
The best way to make the children read by their non-traditional method or an unstructured method is you are going either by school bus or by walking or by cycling from the school back to home. You read all the boards which are on the street. Maybe it's an advertisement, maybe it is the board of an office, maybe it is the board of a mall or any shop. All the shops towards your left, you read every word what is therein. You have to read. Use this input and try to recall how many boards you can recall when you reach back home after 15 minutes.
That's a wonderful
On the way
suggestion.
back from home to school, also you do the same thing. So
So this is
it's
one
a raw
suggestion.
way.
Yeah.
It's a very colloquial, or I would say non-traditional way, but make them observe what is the style of painting, what is the kind of font, what is the font size, what is the style which they have written, what they want to communicate with that board. Everything will get observed by the child while reading the board on road. Then create a competition for them at the weekend. Said that use all the inputs what you have read from the boards on the street and create an advertisement. Advertise something of your own choice in front of the audience. We'll make their own classmates or other classes also to sit upon. So they will create an advertisement rating to something like 1 minute of time. You create an advertisement and broadcast. Whomever creates a big advertisement, a best advertisement, will give a reward, some points and prizes that we give. So the base for your advertisement to create is reading. On whatever you have read across, you create something on your own. In 1 minute, you deliver it, you get a prize for it. So
That's a
that's
wonderful
one
suggestion.
idea to
Ah,
create reading habit among youth.
that's a wonderful suggestion. Even subconsciously, a lot of people do that. But to make a totally can say interesting activity out of that, that's a wonderful suggestion. Thank you so much. Any other suggestion that you have? If you have, then you can share it. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next person. Just a second. Okay, let's go to Miss Renu. Yeah, over to you, Miss Renu. Your two suggestions.
Yeah. Actually, I would like add on with the Raghuveer. So, like he's saying, we can do this on while we are on bus, while we are back to home. The same thing we are doing in our school. Wheel on a Bus is an app created by our one of child. So
Mm-hmm.
on that app, we all have that such activities. Wheel on the and the app name is Wheel on the Bus. When we have a one teacher and one didi in the bus, so that teacher helps students to do that activity during back to home
Okay.
every day. Yeah, we are doing the same thing for inculcate the reading habit. And the second thing I would like to suggest is nowadays no one read the newspaper just came to your hand, you just throw on your door and you went away, and we use it as different kind of things, but we are not using it
Apart
for
from
reading.
reading, we use it for every other purpose.
Yeah, part of reading we are doing for every purpose. So
Yes.
I will like to suggest from home is this thing is happening, because the school home is the first school for the child. So if we will give that environment in the school home to child, automatically it will become in their habits. So you will reading a
At
newspaper.
our time, when I was in my school, back in our days, we used to have this TOI, Times of India school edition. And we
Yeah,
used
Times of
to,
India,
yeah, we
one
used to
page
submit,
paper was
yeah, we
there.
used to submit 35 rupees in a month, and we used to get every day, we used to get that newspaper. I'm not sure whether they're still having it, they're still continuing it with the schools, but still, if they are continuing it, then it is the humble request to almost every school to take that thing, because ultimately, subconsciously, they are learning many things. Great, thank you, Miss Renu. Over to you, Smita ma'am. Your two good suggestions.
Yes, Mr. Gulshan, Times of India is still doing the same
That's
process.
good to know.
And subscription charges, I think, rupees 45 per student.
Okay, still for a month.
Yes,
They have not
yes,
increased the
it's
price.
still
That's
same.
good.
Yeah. So what I wanted to add is that towards your question is inculcating the habit of reading from a tender age, as we all know, goes in long way developing the logical reasoning and the lateral thinking, imaginative and cognitive development ultimately for the children. So as I was telling, the teachers support that we received from the school, the same support has to be received from the family as well, because family is the first home for the child and the school is the second home for the child. So when we are gathering over a dining table, normally nowadays we can see that either a group of members watch a TV, or if they are not watching on a TV, they discuss about the movies, they discuss about the series or horror movies, something like that on the dining table. And it would be highly appreciated that if the parents, if they are not a voracious reader also, have some discussions regarding the reading
Regarding the
habits or
reading
some
books.
stories that they
Yes.
have listened during their childhood to discuss among the young children
Hmm.
and motivate them for having long reading sessions in their life. It may not be on the dining table, as I don't prefer that, because we always have to eat silently and chew properly to have a healthy digestion. So it can be during the family time, outing time, or at an evening. This support, if we receive from the parents, definitely the school also work along with the children. We can inculcate the reading habits as a daily routine. Children get up, brush their teeth, or take a bathe and dress themselves, have their breakfast, get back to the school and get ready, go to school. This is their routine. So at part of their day, we can have one session of reading getting inculcated in them if we definitely have a support from the parents too. As an educator, as an
Just to
academician.
add on, another point on this continuous point, we can also conduct some few sessions for the parents also, because children will not come out from the school side, they will not learn it, especially with the young parents, because they have a deeper understanding and they are more, can say, they really want to add significant value to the students childhood. So I'm sure if the leaders or the school teachers can pass this message in a very constructive manner, so I'm sure they will do that and they will support the school in terms of increasing the reading habits of their students. Great. Any other suggestion anyone would like to add?
So adding on to that, I think we are left with a few seconds. So we would be having one parent connect program in this month, where the parents of lower sections are invited to be a part of the learning session, where definitely we would be highlighting the importance of reading as well.
That's a good suggestion, even if it's coming out from the parents' mouth and especially on the school podium. It makes much more sense because every time the students are learning from this, the teachers and the leaders only. If the parents are coming out and share their own experiences, I'm sure that they can totally relate to.
Yes,
Great, great,
we're
great.
working on that.
Yes. Again, thank you everyone, Smita ma'am, Miss Renu, Dr. Raghuveer for sharing this wonderful suggestion. Even Atul sir also, so he just left in between. I'm sure that our audience have learned a lot, and they will. I mean, when they will check it out this webinar, so they have many things to inculcate in their schools and can learn a lot of things. So again, on the behalf of the entire Inspired Valley community, I thank you everyone for sharing your valuable responses.